Wednesday, September 4th of this year, a high school in Georgia named Appalachia High School had a school shooting. The shooter, named Cole, is a 14-year-old who shot up the school, killed 2 teachers and 2 students, injured 9 people. He has been arrested, and he's being charged with multiple counts of murder. It's sad. It's not good. But that's not what this video is going to be about. The video today is going to be about Joe Biden's response to this school shooting and the crappy laws that he wants to enforce because of the school shooting. President Biden on Thursday, so today, said that parents who give their child access to firearms that are not locked up should be held accountable a day after the gunman killed 4 people in the Georgia high school. So Joe Biden's saying basically that the parents should be held accountable for the school shooting, as if like they're the ones handing their kid the gun and saying like, oh yeah, here you go right ahead. By the way, I think it's funny that Joe Biden is pushing for gun control laws after a school shooting, but not or pushing for this after a school shooting, but he didn't say anything about this at all when Trump got shot. Just think it's kind of weird. I think if you actually cared, you would have said things similar for both scenarios. It's just this is a stupid proposition. This is dumb. Why would you charge the parents? First of all, not all parents are responsible for the kid having access to the gun. The gun could be locked up, for all we know, and then the kid breaks into the place where it's locked up. You don't know. There's too much to factor in. How do you know the parent didn't get injured? How do you know the parent didn't get murdered? It's just, there's just too much to, there's too many factors with things like this. The people you should hold accountable for school shootings are the people who shot up the school. That's it. But every time there's a school shooting, the Democrats love to push for gun control, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, because gun control will not help school shootings ever. No amount of gun control will ever prevent school shootings. It just won't happen. The only way you can prevent a school shooting with gun laws is if you literally banned every single gun in America. You were to make them all legal. You were to burn every single book in America about how to design firearms, build firearms. And then, on top of that, you'd have to murder everybody who knows how to design firearms and build firearms. That's how far of an extreme you'd have to go if you really wanted to prevent all school shootings. And that's obviously too far. I made a video about this a few months ago of how we could actually prevent school shootings, and I gave actual advice on how we could prevent school shootings. I said that we could just arm teachers. That's just what we should do. Arm teachers. It's simple as that. Some people might argue like, oh, the teacher doesn't want to shoot the person, kill anybody, and blah, 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 blah. Which is a stupid argument, because like, would you rather watch your students get murdered in front of you and then get murdered yourself, or have to murder somebody? Have to kill somebody? I'm going with the latter, dude. I'd rather kill somebody and save a bunch of lives than not. You know what I mean? And then you could just give them CQB training. They have all summer long to figure all this stuff out. It wouldn't be that hard, and it wouldn't even cost that much. If you were to tax the endowments on every college in America 10%, you would be able to afford it easily. It wouldn't even be that hard. Today I want to talk about gun laws and why they don't work at all. Why they're stupid, why they never worked, they never have worked, and they never will work, and how corrupt they just truly are. So, history lesson, guys. Get your notebooks out. You're going to be tested on this tomorrow. So let's begin. In 1930, the NFA, which is the National Firearms Act, was passed by the federal government as a result of gang violence in the early 20s and 30s. Most notably, the St. Valentine's Massacre was one of the big things that pushed the NFA from happening to begin with. Its purpose was to regulate firearms used by criminal gangs When the NFA was first started, they regulated things like automatic firearms, the length of shotgun and rifle barrels. They regulated pistols, which didn't last too long because people got pissed and said, hey, like that's bullcrap, can't do that. And they also regulated, later on, like 60s or something like that, they regulated suppressors. They required that the length of rifle and shotgun barrels be over 18 inches until the 1960s, around that time, when the rifle barrel length requirement was cut down to 16 inches because of the popularity of the different weapons that were being used during the Vietnam War. However, the NFA laws don't actually work, and they didn't really work to begin with altogether. They never worked. The whole idea of the laws was that if the police were to break into a place where the mafia or gangsters were, they would find SBRs. They'd find the short-barreled rifles and the short-barreled shotguns and things like that. And then they'd bust the people, and then they'd send them in jail for even longer than they would have to begin with. On top of the stolen money, drugs, and alcohol, they would also charge them for the guns. But then it stopped working after like 5 seconds because gangsters were just like, okay, so we just won't cut them until we do the crime. Like if they're going to be committing a huge crime like a bank heist, for example, they're not going to really care if, they get charged 10 years for a short barrel. They don't really care. So this rendered the law absolutely useless. And it's still useless to this day because if I wanted to cut the barrel on a gun, I could just do that before I go to like a mass shooting. If I was going to shoot up a place, I wouldn't care. I would just cut my barrel down before I went and do it. So the law doesn't really work. It doesn't work. It fails in practice. The ATF has literally pulled measuring tapes on people, trying to figure out whether or not someone's going to go to prison or not, and have their entire lives ruined over a certain gun part or something being too short or too long or whatever. These laws are written purposely in a vague manner to not only imprison people that own firearms, but to make it more difficult to become a firearm owner to begin with. Because if the government wants to be tyrannical, it's a lot easier to become tyrannical when no one has guns and it's harder to get guns. I mean, just ask, Adolf Hitler, ask him, Mao, ask Stalin. Wait, you can't because they're all dead. By the way, the crime that you could commit to get you thrown in prison for a decade could be buying the wrong buttstock, accidentally putting a stock on a pistol. They've even gone as far as banning pistol braces. That thing that helps injured veterans shoot their guns more comfortably. And it makes no sense at all because the whole point of the NRA or the NFA and the ATF is to enforce gun laws and to make it so guns could not be less concealable. They didn't want guns to be as concealable as they are, so they made laws in place to make them so they couldn't be less concealable or make them more concealable. Yet, if I put a stock in a pistol, I go to prison? I thought the whole point was I couldn't conceal my gun. But not only can I not conceal my gun, but you can't make your gun bigger either.
Put a pistol on a brace, it turns into a gun. Makes it more, you can have a higher caliber weapon, a higher caliber bullet coming out of that gun.
It's just to throw people in prison, I'm telling you. Also, the ATF made it legal to own stocks on pistols and put pistol braces on. But if you were to hold it to your shoulder, that was a felony. A federal felony.
Federal prison.
Okay, I got my pistol with a stock on it. Okay, I could use it, right? But if I pull it here and my stock touches my shoulder, felony. That is a felony. You can't even hold a gun in a certain way without it becoming a felony. This is how ridiculous gun laws are and how stupid they are. If you haven't been paying attention, you need to start paying attention. First of all, in my opinion, laws should only be in place to protect people and property. This does neither. Who is being a victim? Okay, who am I victimizing if I put a pistol with a stock on it up to my shoulder? If I'm in my own house with an unloaded pistol and I put a stock on it, and I put the stock up to my shoulder, who am I victimizing? Think about it. Think about how stupid this actually is. You can even spend years in prison if your gun, your foreign gun, let's say if you bought an SA-87. I don't know why you'd want one, but let's just say you did, right? You buy it from Britain, and you have it come over here, blah, 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 and then you have it. If there are foreign components in your gun, say like foreign parts, screws, things like that, trigger guard, whatever, that is also a felony. Think about, okay, I'm going to repeat myself. If you buy a gun from a foreign country and that gun has foreign components to it, that is a felony. Are you finally understanding how stupid the ATF is and why we get pissed off when people are trying to push, the same people are trying to push these stupid laws? We get mad because this is how stupid our world has become. This is corrupt. This should be criminal. It's such a corrupt agency that they've made things legal, right? And then like a day, a month, maybe even a year later, they'll revert that item to be illegal again. And if you're caught with it, or if you have it in your possession at the time they raid your house, prison. And there's no grandfather law that protects you either. You just go straight to federal prison.
And not go to jail. Go to federal prison.
But that is why politicians do that. Politicians want to incriminate people that won't vote for them. That is how politics works. Political figures want to incriminate people who will not vote for them. They want to force laws. They want to enforce laws that will hurt people that won't vote for them. Okay? And on top of that, they'll make laws less lenient for people who will vote for them. So, for example, Democrats are typically the party that make pedophilia laws less lenient. Okay? Like, for example, in California, a person, like let's say a 24-year-old, can rape a 15-year-old, right? Legal. It's legal. And they don't become a registered sex offender. It's like less bad because they're within 10 years. It's practically legal. And they push laws like that because they know that pedophiles are typically the ones that will vote for Democrats, which says a lot about Democrats. Another thing is that illegal immigrants, they bring illegal immigrants over the border because they know that they'll vote for them. Illegal immigrants will vote for Democrats because the illegal immigrants want the borders to be open so they can get the country easier and not get deported, which is why Democrats try to make the border less lenient, or makes the border more lenient too. Republicans are the same way, by the way. Republicans try to criminalize abortion. Now, obviously, abortion is a good thing to criminalize, and they also become less lenient or more lenient on people who own guns, and they become more lenient on like taxes, or lower taxes and things like that. Because typically the people who vote Republican are, hardworking, tax-paying individuals, while Democrats, it's like 50-50. These laws aren't even about safety to begin with. They're not. Okay? Because with less than $1,000, you can legally own these illegal and dangerous guns. Okay? If you turn in a $200 tax stamp to the ATF, you can override these laws with one firearm. If I turn in a $200 tax stamp, I could put a suppressor on my gun, I could have a short-barreled rifle, I could have no stock or whatever. So if we can override these laws with $200, then why are people spending decades in prison and having their entire lives ruined and their reputations ruined over these laws? Well, folks, it's because it was never about safety to begin with. It's about control.